Sex sells. This phrase alludes to the idea that promiscuous content increases the effectiveness of advertising by playing on human instinct in order to attract a specific target audience, or to just get a few more eyeballs on your product than what would have been interested without that tactic. In the context of video games, the audience trying to be reached by employing a sex appeal style of advertising is almost always that of a younger male demographic. This is evident by the sheer amount of women characters being sexualized in games versus the amount of men. For every one man designed for the benefit of the female gaze, there's at least 20 women characters designed to invoke the male gaze. That being said, there has always been a portion of women and men that see sexualization and objectification of women in games as a problem, and that idea has had a larger presence in online discourse recently. In fact, it's become quite loud. Let's get started on answering the question. Should you feel bad for playing a game because you think the characters are hot? What do I mean by that? Stellar Blade came out on April 26, 2024. I hate using this word, but it is a Souls-like. Yes, cringe to say I know, but it's true. Imagine Nier Automata meets Dark Souls 3, and you're about 2/3 of the way there with this game. Stellar Blade stars Eve, a warrior tasked with reclaiming Earth from the Natiba, basically an invasive alien species. I don't know if the game was announced prior, but I became aware of it during the State of Play event in January 2024. And just like this comment section, my first reaction was, wow, Eve is hot. This exact thought came up anytime the game was mentioned by the YouTubers I listened to. Oh, that's right, the game with the cute Korean chick slicing up aliens and trying to save Earth. That game. And then the demo came out, and I decided to download it, if nothing else, than to just watch a cute chick carve some creatures up. Lo and behold, what I found instead was a breathtaking opening. Almost D-Day type scenario as the 7th Airborne Squad gets torn to shreds in a rush to reclaim Earth, resulting in Eve being the only survivor of the raid, saved at the last second by a man named Adam. This scene was jaw-dropping, and I must have taken at least 15 screenshots. The only thing not fully jiving with me was how comically their plan failed. Like, not even A for effort, guys, y'all completely dropped the ball in every respect. The next level introduces you to the bonfires and Estus flasks, traversing the world and opening shortcuts to previously explored areas, all while any one enemy can wreck your health bar if you're not being cautious. I jest, but the level was definitely unique and fun to explore, and I can tell this is going to be a game to replay once or twice. I have not played the full release because at the time of writing this, the game still isn't out. But did you notice what happened? Stellar Blade accurately and effectively uses the sex appeal of Eve to draw in people like me, who would have just chalked it up as another Souls-like to add to the pile. I'm sure marketing is a difficult job, and the devs behind Stellar Blade knew they needed every advantage to get noticed, and it worked. Getting consumers to download the demo and see that Eve and her beauty isn't even scratching the surface on how detailed and fun this game is. By the time the first boss rolled around, Eve's attractiveness wasn't even on my mind. It had worn off, and now I'm definitely buying the game to see how her and Adam's story progresses. Now, I'm just happy we have a new IP to enjoy, and we'll have to make a video all about Stellar Blade sometime. My point by bringing this up is that I believe this type of advertising has no victims. The company gets a new consumer, the body and voice actors get paid for their craft, and I get a new game to play and enjoy. What is commonly brought up as a rebuttal toward this type of advertising is how it sexualizes and objectifies women, and creates unrealistic body standards for women. Despite what I might be implying, I'm honestly in agreement with these statements more or less, and I want to tell you why as concisely as I can write it. Discourse about the subject through the decades usually boils down to echo chambers and screaming louder than the other. Some common things you'll often hear from either side is, modern day devs purposely make women uglier, or gamers are misogynists, or go woke, go broke, and you're pandering to a new aged audience that doesn't exist. I believe both sides are too loud, and it's exhausting going on YouTube and hearing channels I like repeat the same phrases over and over, crying about ESG scores and how modern day devs are going to come to my house personally and kill me because I question why they race swapped a character from Alan Wake. But at the same time, it is weird they race swapped Saga, and that I can't seem to find a game anymore that hasn't been warped and twisted by pandering and gender discussion or modern day political landscapes. I'm tired of both sides of the aisle. Whatever happened to games you buy once that worked and didn't feel like you were choosing political sides? I feel like I'm beginning to get off topic, so let's rein it back in. I feel like a good portion of this discourse can be resolved by each individual consumer embracing their natural given right of personal responsibility. In this context, personal responsibility implies the consumer has a choice of what to consume. I feel as if the general population, and especially the vocal talking heads on either side, have forgotten they do not have to engage with or play every single form of media that is out there, especially games. I have never understood how a person who gets upset at an over-sexualized video game character feels the need to make it everyone else's problem, especially if that person was not the intended target audience. For example, if a person has an issue with, say, a character like 2B from Nier Automata, who in no uncertain terms is one of the most sexualized characters of the 2010s, decides to boycott the game, has used their personal responsibility to uphold their own values, and I believe that that is to be commended. Nier Automata was not made for you, and it's unfortunate that you are missing an amazing heartfelt story. Back to the other side of the aisle, if someone sees a game like Hades, who, in their book, has embraced the woke agenda by catering to those who find differing sexual attractions and identities an important aspect of the media that they consume, that person has a personal responsibility to distance himself from Hades. Which is quite a shame because Hades is hands down the best roguelike I've ever played, and funny enough, heavily uses sex appeal to bring in consumers of every orientation and personality. Where I feel people mess up is when they start trying to impose their own values on others. Just because I like games with beautiful women in it does not mean I'm any less or any better than someone who prefers games that don't have sexualized characters. What I'm trying to say is that we are completely different target audiences, and we need to learn that not everything is for us. Variety is the spice of life, and I can foresee AAA gaming becoming this oversafe, homogenized, boring content slop because developers are scared to take risks, because they have too many views and morals screaming at them from every direction, demanding they be catered to. What about sexual advertising and characters creating unrealistic body standards for women? Where does personal responsibility come into play? I'll be the first one to say it, even despite most characters being based off of real woman models, I can see how women would feel unsatisfied with their bodies if they compared themselves to women in gaming. I know when I played Resident Evil 2 Remake, Leon Kennedy constantly made me feel like I needed to hit the gym now. Or when playing Hades, honestly every male character on screen had me second guessing my entire diet and exercise routine. However, I believe that this is solely on the person consuming the content to keep themselves in check and not be comparing themselves to who is on screen, as difficult as that is. I don't really think it's wrong of the developers to give the market what it wants. If the markets didn't want sexy video game characters, then it wouldn't purchase games that had sexy characters. Therefore, we must take personal responsibility to ensure we separate video games from reality. And if you struggle to do that, then the problem lies within yourself, and your issues are beyond the scope of what I want to cover in this video. Speaking of scope, a rebuttal that comes up with sexualization in games is that exposure to sexual content over time desensitizes the masses, creating a negative feedback loop where the media has to constantly push the boundaries of common moral standard, slowly eroding any sense of societal integrity, resulting in our future generations being raised as degenerates, creating economic global dysfunction and leading us into a future of collapse and hastened apocalyptic nightmare where only God himself can come to our rescue. I don't know, dude. I'm just a construction worker. So should I feel bad about playing games because they're sexualized characters? I personally don't, because the amount of wonderful games and experiences diminishes dramatically if I try to gatekeep myself out of that type of content. What about you? Should you feel bad because you play games with sexualized characters? A vast majority of gamers don't care, but they're not you. It's all your personal responsibility and on your own conscience to decide if you play those types of games. If your morals do not allow you to consume content with sexualized characters, then you should understand you are in the minority and should focus your intentions on finding games that cater to you as an audience, and leave alone the people who do not have the same ideals as you. I believe that this is noble and to be commended. If you play a game for the sole purpose of having characters be sex appeal objects, then more power to you as well. I personally don't agree with you. but that absolutely is an audience, and you better be certain that the market will advertise to y'all. I do ask that you also self-reflect and see if you're missing any other value in the games you play. I know a person that never played long-form RPGs, that bought Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because Mithra and Pyra have large chests. Now, RPGs are one of their top favorite genres because they unglued their eyes and saw the beauty of the game around them. I should also add here at the end that this video doesn't really apply to other forms of media like movies and TV shows, because those are real actors and actresses, not fake characters on a screen. I didn't want to ignore this point, however that side of media requires a different type of nuance than video games, and deserves its own video one day. So play what you like, and don't play what you don't like. Self-reflect on your own values before you start trying to put your own morals onto others. I've been Ropeburn. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.